dip, 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 dip.
So, like everyone else, I watched Squid Game on Netflix. But just in case you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil things per se. I'll deal with the overall aspects of it as best I can. Certainly, if you look it up, the synopsis is there. You have this premise of some very desperate people get caught up in this chance to win a lot of money, but it's in these games they have to play that are all based on childhood games. But when you lose, you die. And it's this all very surreal looking place that they're at, and all this, and the way it's all set up, and how these guards are amassed and everything, because it's some sort of secret society of bored, super rich people who are just bored with everything that money can buy. And so now there's this vast complex of where this is going on, and apparently it's been going on a long time when you get into the story. And so there is a somewhat main character who is, there's always a character that guides you through the world that they're showing you in here, and he's basically a loser. He's not a bad man, but he's had some tough luck here and there, which is no excuse for his behavior. But if there's a saving grace to him, is that he loves his daughter, and so on and so forth. And this sets him up as a prime candidate for to be a player in this game. And there's a series of events about how they seek out people and stuff like that that you have to interpret from what they provide you about how this is done and whatnot. But anyway, he gets there, and so you see all this, all the visuals and everything is just fantastic with how they've set it up and everything. It just really it's like you really are in another world. But it's at its core is is your conscience and humanity real, or is everybody just out for themselves? And this sort of thing is back and forth. Some have seen it as a condemnation of capitalism, but you could twist that around very easily. There are some moments here where I'm wondering, are they really wanting to do this, or is just the dialogue between characters where you have someone who came from North Korea and escaped into South Korea, and it seems to insinuate that it really made no difference. It makes a big difference. I mean, within the context of the story where this person is now, yeah, but it doesn't quite wash, if that was the intent. In the conversation and this sort of thing that happens in there. There is a bit of a twist. Well, of course, you would expect there to be one. It should come as something of a surprise in case you didn't catch it. Once it's all revealed, you're like, oh, yeah, all right. It was kind of staring you in the face the whole time. But it's very good. The presentation is very good. The story is quite simple. It's the morality of it and the trials and tribulations that the different characters go through. And it's sort of like a discovery of themselves. So how far would they go? You see some characters who seem quite moral, and in the end they weren't. They failed, if you will, of how far they would go to the bitter end of these games. Because I guess that would spoil too much if I say. But it's certainly a testament of the times we're in entertainment, that this production from South Korea beats out a lot of what the American entertainment industry is putting out, which is a lot of lazy slap job stuff with just really great icing on a cakeless cake. But the icing's getting stale. And so you have things like this, like from South Korea with that. And of course, South Korea, they've been producing some other stuff. I mean, certainly A Train to Busan is easily one of the best zombie movies ever made. So then that's really cool. The follow-up wasn't so great, but it was still better than Army of the Dead. And then Germany did Dark, which was a really fascinating, well-crafted, very complicated series. And then now there's Squid Game, which is also very complicated in a lot of ways in its emotion and its presentation of characters and development and what have you. And the visuals, good Lord, the visuals are really fantastic. I can't find any fault with them. But it is of some interest between the two of Dark and Squid Game, and they're both very complex. Now, Dark immediately is complex in its plot with the time travel and everything. In Squid Game, the plot's actually very simple. These people that are desperate and are brought in and are exploited by these people who want this sick entertainment of this sort of gladiatorial contest. Ultimately, it's these child games they're forced to play, but if you lose, you're killed. You die. So that's pretty straightforward and simple right off the bat. But it's just the overall reaction to it. Where does it go? The mystery of this organization and which you get what it is. It doesn't really spell it out in total, but it doesn't really need to be. There's some aspects in here that I think maybe they're thinking to follow this up, and maybe they have in Korea. I don't know. I just watched the show. I haven't read a whole lot about it and whatnot. I heard other people talking about it and other podcasts and whatnot. I said, all right, I'll check it out. But so maybe there is a follow-up to it. There is certainly a desire for justice at the end. And maybe that's the deal. The story of it, the origins of this group and what have you. But if not, it doesn't matter because it's pretty solid in and of itself. And in fact, to attempt to follow up to it, it might take away from what they've achieved here. Now, of even more interest is that I was on a live stream. Who was it? Was it? I think it was Doomcock's live stream. I can't remember which one. And they brought it up, and yeah, it was Doomcock's pop culture review on late Sunday. And there was this story that apparently the translation was not accurate for the Netflix show. And even the subtitled version. So if you didn't do the dubbed version and you just read the subtitle, said, no, that's not even accurate either. So I'm not sure how much of the story would change, but that's the upshot of it, is that it's not really the actual accurate story that they told in Squid Game. And apparently it's going to take a couple of months or so before they release the actual version, which might just be a cheap thing to get more interest in it, but I don't know. I mean, that many months away, the fad of it would have died down. The hype is deserved. It is a very good show. It's not just hype in and of itself, but to try to think that 3 or 4 months from now that people would want to return to see, there's this other version that's slightly different, because I mean, you see the actions and what happens without necessarily needing the dialogue to understand what's going on there. So how much different could a few lines here and there make? I don't know. The relationship between certain characters might not be exactly what it said, maybe something like that, but overall the basic plot points I think would probably be the same, which I don't know that would make much of a difference, but it is of some interest there. So don't know. That's yet another mystery of Squid Game, and so maybe that's the tease. I don't know. There's this other version of it. And maybe they'll put it on Netflix later, but anyway, as it is, I really enjoyed the show. I think they did a very good job here, and it's quite the achievement. And it's nice to have something new and fresh, and it didn't bother me a bit that nobody represented me in the movie. I mean, the show, rather. It's mostly all Koreans, North Koreans, maybe some Japanese and Chinese. I don't know. Well, there are. Yeah, some of the villains are white. Yeah, that's true. There's some white guys. At least one, anyway. And some poor Pakistani guy. Yeah, he's in there. So anyway, I do recommend it. It's a fascinating, very surreal a story, and with lots of passion and tragedy in it. The stuff of great stories. Anyway, so all right, there you go. Squid Game. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.